This meeting is being recorded.
What's going on?
Yours?
What's going on, Jason? How are you?
Good, good.
Yeah. Do you want to make me co-host so I can add people as they come in? Perfect. How are you doing, Alinda?
Rocking and rolling,
Good.
kicking some ass. Just came from a property.
Heck yeah.
Had a
Awesome.
closing yesterday, so yeah, rocking and rolling. How about you?
Same old, same old. Yep. Still doing. Yep.
Awesome. We love it.
Yes.
It's all about the chase, baby.
Yes, it is. Jared, are you trying to talk with us? We can't hear you. If so, your microphone's not working.
I'm not gonna
Hey, that's better. Now we can hear you.
I was like, why is
like
anyone answering me?
singing.
You guys are all being jerks. Gosh.
I thought you were just singing to yourself and just hanging
No,
out,
no, yeah.
having a good time, waiting for everybody to come in. And
I was asking questions. I was like, hey, Frankie, how'd that deal go? And like nothing. Like, Frankie, Mr. Guzman, come on, man. Someone.
yeah, yeah.
Something was wrong with my
Sorry,
computer.
I know. Nope. It's
It's-
the user error over here on this
Yeah.
side of things. Oh my goodness. Well, thanks for calling out. I didn't even notice, like, because it's the mic itself is muted, not like Zoom. So I didn't even. He's
Yeah, there you go.
phenomenal. Okay, great. Well,
Now you can talk.
now that y'all can hear me, do we have any questions? What we talked about yesterday first, before we kind of talk about other stuff? Door knocking in general, about the backdoor approach, giggity, anything at all? No,
Mhm.
good, excellent. I think we're gonna have a good turnout. I'm excited for it.
Are you just gonna be teaming us up with like our battle buddies, or are we just gonna go with some random, or like,
I think that'd
how
be
are you doing
cool.
that?
I'll let you guys pick. I mean, whoever's there, like, hey, let's pair up. So whatever you guys want to do, yeah, it's fine. If you're couples, I would. Well, I don't know how you want to do it, right? If you are teaming up, let me not if you guys can figure out what you guys are gonna do with the leads beforehand. So like if spouses are going, then maybe the spouses should go because then there's not gonna have that rift. But whatever that's gonna be, like, if we're gonna wholesale it, then we're gonna do it together or have an idea before it happens, because when you're trying to, oh, we both knocked on this door and turned out to be a really good deal, but now who gets it, or how do we split it, and all that. So that is something that, should we talk about we can talk about partnerships. That actually might be a good segue. Would that be something you guys be interested in?
Yeah, I think that would be great.
Hell yeah.
They talked a little bit about it on the first flip challenge yesterday. They talked a little bit about how JVs work, but I think it would be nice to go over it again. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. What was someone said Jared a second ago. Was that you?
Hey, it's me, Frankie.
Okay, yeah. What's up, Frankie?
Hey, listen, I was trying to watch that recording from yesterday because I was not able to be on the phone call, and I didn't see it this morning.
So I just posted this morning. So usually I'm pretty good at doing that same day, but it didn't get there until kind of like an hour ago or 2 hours ago, somewhere in there.
Okay,
So
good.
Look again, it'll be there.
Okay, I had a closing yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah, so I missed that, but I'll watch it tonight. But let's get going there. So,
What was your question? Was it about door knocking? What was that?
no. Oh, you know what? My question.
You kill me, Frankie. You're leaving me in suspense. Are you mute again? No.
I said something, don't speak in because I'm on my phone.
Oh, okay. So
okay, but I'm gonna be for the door knocking tomorrow. Okay.
not tomorrow. Today's Thursday, so it's Saturday.
Oh yeah, tomorrow's Friday. Yeah. I'll be there Saturday.
Yeah, if you want to go door knocking tomorrow, then awesome. But yeah, we're not
no, I don't have time. I don't really have a lot of time for that. I got so much stuff going on.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah. What happened to that deal, by the way? Because I was asking earlier, what that with the wholesaler that you were buying the deal from or potentially working with?
You know what? I didn't reach out to the seller because I want to talk to the wholesaler first. I think it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, I would agree.
Okay, so I haven't, like I said, I got a lot going right now, but I will reach out to the wholesaler first and then go from there.
Okay, perfect. Love it. All right, yeah, let's talk about. I think I know on the calendar says Craigslist, and we can dive deeper into that, basically for sale by owners. But I think, especially with Saturday coming on, having a better idea as far as partnership and different ways to kind of structure it. So not talking necessarily about like doing a partnership or flip, but how would a partnership work if it's just like two investors coming in? What I see a lot of newer people do when they jump into a partnership with someone else that may be also newer or just anyone, it's like there's a group of three of us, and so, oh great, let's just do it 30-30 all the way around. And then we'll, split the profits 30-30-30. Awesome. And then what happens with that? Because that seems fair. Objectively, like there's three of us, there's one deal, great, we're just going to cut it in thirds, done. Or there's two of us, 50-50, easy peasy. And that can work out depending on kind of what happens, right? The challenge is what usually ends up happening if a blanket, like this is split at 50-50 is thrown out there. Some partners will end up doing more than the others. And maybe one partner put in the capital and they're also like negotiating the deal. And so the other partners are kind of like there, like they'll do some stuff, but they're not really like as involved as the other partner. And so they're that 50-50 doesn't seem very fair, does it? At that, when you're looking at it like that, right? And so especially when it's like you're putting, so when one partner A is putting in all the capital and all the, they're putting all their time, and the other guy shows up now and again and they're getting half the profit, like doesn't make any sense at all. So what I like to do when I'm figuring out like a partnership, and try to be a little bit like flexible as the deal goes on, like have in your JV, you can have like clauses where you can kind of adjust it accordingly. But you want to make sure when you're doing a joint venture with someone else is have clear like what is your roles, what is your expectations, and what are my roles and my expectations. So like I'm gonna find the buyer, and you brought the deal, you got it under contract, awesome, cool. I just need basically taking the torch down the road and finish the deal, right? So, and what else needs to be done from that point? Maybe that's all you, because that's if it's a wholesale deal, like you get under contract, it's a ready deal. Other person comes in, finds the buyer, does everything else from that on. That's pretty. That can be like, for how I usually do it, it's either like 50-50 or 40-60, depending on how things are all kind of structured. If it's something like that. So yeah, it's pretty cool to do. And it's also fair if you have a conversation like, let's figure out what, and if you're not sure how to approach that subject, a good way of doing it is just like, okay, let's just sit down and figure this out, because I want to make sure, I don't want you to feel bad if you're ever having a conversation with a potential partner or a partner that you've already started business with. Have a conversation like, hey, listen, I want to make sure that like you are getting compensated with all the work that you're doing and making sure that you're taking care of, because I don't want to take advantage or like you're almost like concerned for them, like again, remember, it's the same thing. What's in it for you? What's in it for them? What's in it for them, right? That different mindset. And so you can start that conversation, just something like that, if you're already kind of in a deal with someone and you really haven't talked about these type of things, and maybe if you're nervous about it or whatever, because maybe it's the first time, like that's cool. What I do is like, let's write down what we're doing, so we're understanding what our responsibilities and what we're bringing to the table. So if partner A is bringing the capital, because let's say it's a flip or whatever, bringing the capital, how much are they bringing the capital? How much are they? What time and effort are they? What task are they basically taking over? Now in a partnership, sometimes like maybe if partner A is assigned a task, but it just so happens that partner B was able to had a relationship, was able to figure it out a lot sooner, or was able to, hey, listen, actually I found someone networking that can do task A for us. Like, oh, that's awesome. And that's totally fine. That should be open to do so, depending what it is, whether that shifts the percentage, that could be kind of discussed later too. But so you're writing everything down. And so a lot of times when it's like, hey, partner, let's do 50-50. Cool. Well, let's see let's break it down for what we're doing. So we make sure that we're doing what's fair. And like, okay, so I'm finding the deal, or we found the deal together. We're knocking on doors. And then I ended up getting the funds for it. I ended up finding the buyer. I did most of the, like you weren't there at the negotiation, so I had to negotiate the deal and close it. We use my telecompany, my connections to do if it's a flip to contractors, and then you helped me find the deal, and you put in 20,000 in equity or something like that, right? So the portions are quite on one-sided. So having a conversation with like, well, so what do you think would be fair for us to, what kind of percentage do you think it would be, So that's like for like another investor partner, you're doing the deal together for two active partners. Does that make sense, guys, what I'm saying? I know sometimes like I go in side tangents like all the time, so some may be hard to follow once in a while.
That makes sense. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So it's this, it's when you're having a conversation like that, it's like I want to split it according to what we're bringing to the table. You know, so that's how you want to do that partnership, right? And always have something like you can always write things in text or email, you know, if you haven't done the JV just yet, but as long as there's something written, recorded call, whatever. So there's something, you know, documentation keeps friends friends, you know. And one thing I love, so for example, when me and Nate, we did the one deal, his first deal we did together, and we had a partnership. And towards the end, he had that conversation with me. So we were going to split a certain way. And then he came to me. It's like, hey, listen, I want to talk about some of this, the percentage. We want to make sure that we're, you know, I'm not even sure how he started the conversation, but it was great. Like, and so he talked about like, hey, where do we find the lead? Because we were basing it off of like if he was finding, like if I gave him the listed call and lead, and that was like kind of the percentage I was kind of basing off. And it's like, well, this is actually the lead that I brought to the table from the get go. Like, oh, you're right, absolutely, that makes sense. And so we shifted it so he got a bigger percentage because of that. And like that makes perfect sense. Absolutely no problem. You know what I mean? And so the great thing is like never assume malice. There might be malice, you know, because Nate could have thought like, oh, Jared's being greedy. He doesn't want to give us what we should or whatever. But and obviously Nate never thought that. But the assuming they just didn't realize, or assuming that you know it's not even a factor in their head, like so you just got to bring it up. So the biggest thing for partnerships is communication, understanding what they're expecting, so they understand what you're expecting, and you know hold each other accountable to that deal and what kind of needs to happen, right? So having those type of conversations is great, right? And so something like that, that's more for like two active investors. If you're doing a flip and you need like equity partner, and again, if I'm going, or if you guys want to talk about a certain scenario, we can kind of dive into it. But like an equity partner, so equity partner is different than like a lending partner. You guys know the difference? This is kind of more like raising money. So this may be a different conversation, which in wholesaling, we don't really need to raise money because we're awesome. We don't need to do stuff like that. But it's a good to have, because when you do see a good flip, you're going to hold on to. So the one that, for example, shout out to Creighton. We're tied up a deal which the profits can be like close to like 90K if everything goes to plan. It's freaking awesome. His first freaking call. Everyone hates you, by the way. No, I'm just kidding. No, everyone's proud. It's awesome. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing, man. So it's so cool. But like this one, it's good to kind of have an understanding with, because the beauty of being a really good wholesaler is like when you find a really good deal, like, oh, this one's for us. This one's mine. This is for Jared. This is for Anna. This is for, you know, you can pick the best one and like save it for yourself and do it yourself. Like we finished a flip at the beginning of the year, we made over 100,000 on one that was taking way too long. We're gonna make 80,000. So I've done two flips this year, and they were originally I was originally planning to wholesale them until I started looking at it a little deeper. Like, wait a minute, I think this is something I like, you know. So it's important to kind of have an idea. So how I structure like equity partners. Equity partners is like they're actually a partner, not a lender. They're putting in X amount of money to be a partnership in this deal. So they're not lending. And if you are, before you actually raise money, make sure to watch the raising money classes, partnership classes, and the Renatus education. Make sure you watch all those. Okay, so disclaimer, and before you do any of that stuff, make sure to check with your local professional, you know, just to get keep the lawyers happy. But those classes are really important. So an equity partner is actually a partner, and if someone's just lending, like they're getting a percentage like off their money, then they're a lender. Okay, so an equity partner, what I do, so it's the gap funding. You guys know what gap funding is? Can someone tell me what gap funding is? What that usually means when someone says something like that?
Gap funding is when you have the extra money to
Mhm.
pay for something until your actual deal goes through. So let's say you get something that you can't, you're not going to get payment on it for a while. You've got to have gap money to cover those payments until your actual deal goes through. Make sense?
Right. Yes. Absolutely. Great, Laura. So in other words, so hard money lenders, this is kind of what they refer mostly for gap funding. So on the same line what Laura just said, right? But to put it in kind of an example, hard money lenders will usually lend, how much do the hard money lenders usually lend up to the purchase price? What percentage is the average? Have you guys seen? 80%. Great. Yep. And Claudia, you bring 20 of 80. Exactly. Well, they'll 80%, and you'll find some hard money lenders will do like maybe 100 or maybe some of the rehab or something like that. But we're talking about on average, 90% of all hard money lenders. And usually the hard money lenders that will do 100% and maybe some of the rehab, they usually want to do a couple of deals with you first at 80 or even 70. And then once you did a couple, they get more comfortable. And some, like regardless, they don't care. Like that's their numbers. That's what they're doing. Like 80%, no more. Anyways, so having those kind of conversations with your hard money lenders is kind of a good idea because then you like, if I have to work with hard money lender A and he will give me a better percentage down the road versus B that's going to be the same number. Well, I'm going to try to do my deals with A so I can get that benefit, right? Anyways, side note. So they'll lend up to 80% of the purchase price. So the gap funding is that 20% of the purchase that you need to buy the property, holding cost, and the rehab budget. So holding costs is like if there's sometimes hard money lenders will require payments, which I like never do. I don't like those personally. But it's any costs that are going in between. So holding costs are like money costs. They are paying insurance, keeping the lights on. Because guess what? Right now it's cold, and your contractors don't care if the door's open and it's turned up to 80 degrees. They don't mind that the door's open and they're still going back and forth, in and out. It's just not because they're intentionally doing something like that, but they're just working, you know. So planning is gonna be a little more expensive than your own house, right? Even with teenagers. And the rehab costs. Okay, so that is the gap funding, 20% purchase, and then basically to finish up the deal, holding and rehab costs. So that's kind of what gap funding is. So if I'm looking for gap funding on a flip, for example, I'll say to them, I'll say, okay, and it depends on the deal, right? So it can vary. This is not a must do this way. This is just a way that I have done and many other people have done. Where'd that pin go? So let's say a deal for all in, everything that I need with gap funding, lending, everything like that, I need 300,000 for easy numbers. Okay. The hard money lender, they're going to lend us 200,000. So we need $100,000 for the 20% and then plus the rehab. Okay. It's easy. So when you're talking to a private money lender, a lot of times they're not active investors. They want to be an equity partner. They're not necessarily an active, or maybe it's a retirement account or whatever. And so when I'm talking about partnerships and how we split it, so it's like, listen, these are the numbers, and never promise any return ever. And the same when you're blasting out any numbers with your wholesale deals, do not promise anything ever other than you can buy my rights to the contract off of me for this amount. Like that's the only thing you really promise. That's something you can control. Don't promise like this is the ARV, these are the rehab, this will be the profit. You will get yourself in trouble faster than you can blink an eye. Now you can say these are some estimated comps. There were some properties sold for this amount. So maybe you're not doing like an actual like a CMA, but you're saying, hey, this property sold for this property sold for that. You do the math. You know, you can just put the information there if you want to do the comps. Or if you're going to do an ARV, it's like estimated ARV could be this amount. Because you can't control what the flipper's going to do. They're going to have or they can do a Walmart remodel in a Nordstrom property in Nordstrom area, so they're going to do terrible, right? Because you can't control that, so you can't guarantee they're going to get that much once they're done fixing it. Same with rehab. Your cost for rehab is different than the flipper's cost. So estimated, approximate, all that stuff. So when you're raising money, it's the same thing. This is what we think it's going to cost to fix it up. This is what I think we're going to raise it. We have potential. And when I'm talking to equity partners, guess what? I say the words like, okay, great. You're going to get this percentage of the profits and or losses. Because they're buying a percentage of the deal. So, okay, so this deal all in, all expenses is 300,000. I've raised 200,000 myself. We need one third of the funding. So if you come with 100,000, I'm going to give you 33% of the equity, which is the profits and or losses. So if we thought we were going to make 50,000, he's going to get 30. He or she is going to get 30% of that 50,000, if that's what it actually turns out to. If it's a loss, what does that mean? So let's say it's like you lost 50,000. So he would have to write. He wouldn't get all of his $100,000 back. It'd be minus what is it? Like 3,000 or 30,000 or no, what would it be? Like 30. My brain's not working. Anyways, so if the loss is 60,000, right? They would only get back 80,000 of their investment when they put in 100, because they have to pay 30%, 33% of the losses. Now, if there is losses and you made that deal and you need to sell the property, guess what? You got to make that. You got to make write the check for the other 66, which would be like, but I don't want to do that. So here's plan B. If that happens, I don't want to lose money. You don't lose money. We're gonna refinance it as a rental, and we're gonna do this and this, right? So you're not actually out of money, but you're having that conversation beforehand. Like, what is the worst case scenario? This is my plan A, plan B, plan C. Does that make sense? And chime in if you guys have questions. I know kind of throwing a lot of stuff at you. But so that's how I normally structure equity partners, is like, hey, I brought in this, I raised this much money and bring it in. And then you're bringing that, okay, you're gonna get that much of the equity, right? And if you have another active investor, so there's two, let's just say me and Nate we're the active investors on this. We need some private funds to finish this whole thing out. We're like, okay, cool. You get this percentage, and then me and Nate. So for example, if the private money lender is getting 33, or the equity partner is getting 33%, and then me and Nate can figure out, okay, how are we splitting the other 66? And that's when we can do like the list, like, hey, you're doing this, this, and this, you're doing this. You're putting X amount in too as funds, for example. Like, okay, cool, then that should increase your percentage too, right? So does that make sense?
Yes, Jerry, I got a question.
Please.
Okay, equity partner, you're gonna split the profits or whatever. Okay, what if when it's just a money partner or lending partner?
Yes.
When you come to an agreement between, let's say 10%, okay, 50,000, 10% is how much?
So yeah, so 10%, 500, so 5,000, excuse me,
5,000.
Yeah.
Okay, of the 5,000, do you do that per the deal, or you prorate it, like, you know?
So if it's a lending partner, so like the gap funding, they're like, I don't want to be in equity position. I want guaranteed returns, because equity partner, I can make more, sure, but I can also lose money. I don't like that. I'll be happy being in second position behind the hard money lender, but I'm gonna get that 10%. I'm gonna charge you 10% interest on my 50,000 that you need to finish this deal. So that's just an expense line, because it's not a partnership. It's part of the expenses. The hard money cost with the hard money lender, that's an expense line. And then the second position lender, the 50,000, that's an expense line. So after all of those expenses are paid out, then it's left with a profit. And then if you and I, Frankie, are in this deal, then we split it to whatever percentage we agreed upon.
Okay. But my question is on that as well, whether the project takes 6 months, 8 months, or 4 months, you still give him the 5,000, correct?
Definite, maybe. It depends what you guys agree upon.
Or do you provide it?
So
Like
if they
the
just
banks
want
do.
10% in general overall, or 10% annual, or what are they?
Annually, there you go, annually,
Okay.
yeah.
Then it's just, and try to get simple interest, guys, by the way. That makes a big difference. But yeah, if they just want 10% return, right, on their money, okay, great, you're going to charge us 10% interest. If I took a loan from the bank, 50,000 at 10% interest, and I paid it back in 6 months, and I don't pay back the 5,000, it would be 50,000, 2,500 would be my, would I have to return? I would have to pay 2,500 in interest in that scenario. And I paid it off sooner.
Yeah.
It's over annualized. Now, if the guy's like, or gal's like, listen, I'll lend 50,000, but no matter what happens, how fast we do it, if it's done within a year, I still want 5,000. Okay. I mean, that's what you agree upon, then that's the thing. Like, it's whatever you guys agree upon, then you're good. That's moral and ethically illegal, right? So that's the kind of the cool thing is, right? It doesn't have to be a certain thing, or even like I said, splitting for the percentage how much they're bringing, like equity partner. It could be like, hey, listen, we're offering 10% equity for someone bringing in 50,000. Okay, if they're good with it, great. You don't have to do the 33 like I used in an example. If they put in 100,000, it's whatever you guys agree upon. That's the beauty of it. That's really cool. So your only limit is your imagination and the laws of the land.
Okay, so when the lending partner, let's say you and me are doing this deal, you come in with 50K, you ask me for 10%, I say, yes, okay. Do I go into the question with you, do you want this as 10% annually, or do you want it just 10% profit? Whichever we can work that out, just whether it sells in 4 months or 6 months.
Right. I would assume
how do we work that out?
Yeah. So I would assume they want annually. That would be my assumption, because I mean it's kind of the better thing for me. But I'm gonna assume they want annually, and so like, okay, great. So we're planning to get this done in 6 months. If it does happen, and we sell at the price that we're hoping to sell it at, then we give you this. This would be your return on that. If everything goes to plan, no guarantees, right? Well, with lending, the lender, it's a little bit more solid because they're like they're it's like a second mortgage, so they're getting what they're going to get. But so then like I show them like what it is, like, so they're going to get 2,500 back, and if they have any like, wait, that's only I wanted 5,000 back. Like, oh, but this is annualized. Oh, you don't want to, you just want 5,000. What if it takes longer? What if it takes longer than a year? What if the market tanks? Got to do X, Y, and Z or whatever, right? Are you still okay getting that 5,000? Yeah, as long as it's not more than 18 months. Okay, what happens after 18 months? It's better to have those conversations day one than 18 months when everything's gone to hell.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. My question was whether there needs to be in communication with the borrower and the lender, correct?
Yeah, and
okay, great.
And the thing is, some people are like nervous when about equity partners, and they're like, what if things go bad? Oh, I don't want to scare them. Dude, you even bringing that up and having a plan for it, that doesn't scare them. It makes them feel great. They're like, oh, great. I feel even more protected because Anna has a plan if the market tanks. Anna has a plan if the costs go down and we're not able to sell it for it. We're gonna rent it out. We're gonna split the cash flow until we get a renter in there. Refinance the hard money guy out, and then it's just me and Anna. We're in the deal. Her having that plan will make me feel so much better, and like knowing that she's thinking of the worst case scenarios and has a plan for it. Like, oh, versus like, oh, I don't want to scare them off, so I'm just gonna say if everything goes great, this is what's gonna happen. And if they don't know that to ask those type of questions, like maybe they're just like they're investing out of their retirement account. When crap hits the fan, if Anna didn't have that conversation with them about what the B and C plans were, going to them like, hey, listen, market crash, we're having a hard time doing X, Y, and Z, or like we over rehabbed, and it's just, and if you over rehab, if you were at fault, like bite the bullet, man. Like I tell you what, I think some of the problem was, I'll be real with you. I think over rehab. We really wanted to give the home end buyer a really good product. But instead of going with these cabinets and with these, and I think we probably could have done it for less because of this, and this, and it's like and people, if you're honest with them, just being that removes more problems than not, than trying to, dance around certain stuff, right? So, if you didn't have the conversation before and then having the conversation later, it's like, well, but I had plans for that money. Now that we're 18 months in, now what's going to happen? Now I mean, I need that money out. I need the money out because my wife's gonna do X, Y, and Z. But if Anna had that conversation beforehand, it was like, oh crap, I kind of, yeah, I was, if this did happen, because I had 6 months to kind of figure it, like make sure whatever my plans were, if it did happen, I would have another plan for themselves. Like they're not surprised, disappointed, sure, but they're not surprised, and it's not going to be like, oh, you darn Anna, how dare you, whatever. I'm just picking on you, Anna.
Yeah.
But I mean, oh, go ahead. Do you have a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to tell because every time you do a deal, you have to if the person is not like doing this for a long time, maybe they don't know the percentage it's annually because that happened to me when the people lend me 10,000 and it's supposed to be annually, but I returned the money at 6 months, and and she said, "Oh, but what happened? It's supposed to be 12%." And I said, "Yeah, but it's annually. So next time when I did it, I told the next person, oh, remember the percentage it's annually, okay?
Yeah.
If it passed that 6 months, because I hope not. But if passed, I'm gonna pay you. I don't know, 18%,
Sure.
right?
Right.
But I have to make sure that the person it's it knows everything to know
Right.
the problems or something else. And well, that's it.
No, that is a great point, Anna. I love that. And the thing is, what I really love about that is that you weren't doing anything malicious or bad because you're just like, oh yeah, 12%. Like it's just that's the norm for a loan is annualized interest. That's the standard industry is annualized, and so that's what you assumed. And then you're like, oh wait, okay, next time I got to make sure very clear this is annualized. If we do close 6 months, you're getting 6% if it was 12% if you really did the math. But the thing is, if that like yeah, that's why I'm gonna look for another deal to put your money to work so I can get you that full 12% over the year. You know what I mean? Let's just keep that money rolling. That kind of scenario. So those are great points. I'm glad. Yeah. So the whole point is like having conversations beforehand so everyone's kind of understands how that kind of whatever type of partnership, communication is key, however that works. Right.
And those things should be like in a contract, correct? Right. So like
Yes.
those terms will be in a contract written now, so they should be able to read it and understand as well that it's annualized, and so like it's in the contract. So
you put back to it, right? Especially if there's money involved, you definitely want to. I have been admittedly kind of bad with writing out joint ventures if it's just like a quick two-week project, but there's always usually some like with text message or whatever, so there's always something. But always get a joint venture. Be better than me. Yeah, I love this. It's good stuff, guys. Is this helping at all? I hope. So when you speaking of so on Saturday, if you guys want to talk about how you guys are going to split the leads because we're going in pairs, it could be like, let's just, if we get it under, you can either like Red Robin it, like every other lead, it's going to be, you're going to get the first one. So if me and Tyler are going out, I'm like, all right, Tyler, you're going to get the first lead. I'll get the second lead. Whatever happens is mine. Whatever happens is yours, whatever. Okay, cool. Now, could it be that you only find one lead and since you said Tyler got it, that he gets it? Yeah, absolutely. That could happen. And so if you're doing like that, you have to be okay that that'll happen. Oh, we knocked on the door and Tyler made money. I didn't make money. Okay, but that's what you agreed upon. And if Tyler wanted to, share whatever, that's up to him. But again, it's what you guys, if you can do every other, and that's fine because you'll probably have more than, who knows what's gonna close, right? Maybe every other, like you had 4 leads and both of his leads closed and mine didn't. That could happen too. So now like, oh, you should give me that deal, Tyler, because that one looks like you got it under contract. Oh no, those are my leads. That's how we agreed upon. But Tyler, why don't you? Great, awesome. You can have that conversation and ask him, hey, listen, I know this is what our agreement was. I mean, I'm feeling a certain way about this. Would you be open if I got one of those, or if we were able to, maybe a little percentage or something, I can help you do X, Y, and Z. It doesn't hurt to ask. But if at the end of the day, if what you guys agreed upon, the other person doesn't want to change, then that, like, let's be adults here. That's life. Another way you guys can do it as well, if you're not going to do Red Robin, it could be, listen, we're going to do this together. You know, once we do get a deal under contract, then we can kind of assess what you're bringing to the table, what I'm bringing to the table, and we do the percentage. Then awesome. You found that whoever finds the actual buyer, they're going to get this extra percent. However you guys want to do it, right? So you can do stuff like that too. So whatever you guys want to do, that's kind of, so have a thought. If you already have an idea of who you want to go with, you know, then, you know, hey, message it, you know, get with them. Could be your battle buddy, could be, you know, whoever, right? And then I'm not gonna force anyone to go that you don't want to go. Like, Nate, you want to go with Tyler? Cool, awesome. Head off, have fun. But the only thing, and even if you want to go in like a bigger group, like 4 or whatever, I mean, you can. If that's what you guys want to do, it's just a little bit awkward when you're knocking on the door with like more than 3 people. But if you don't feel that way, then awesome. Does that make sense? Any questions about that?
Jared,
Yeah.
so I have not been able to get a hold of my buddy. since
Still,
last-
I thought, so you guys haven't reached, okay. Got it. I'll give her a call and then we'll have to reassign it. I have 2 people that just signed up and so they need some battle buddies. And so I may just reassign and get you with one of them.
Awesome.
So that'll work too. But I'll chat. I know who she is. I'll talk to her. Great. All right. Any other questions about like partnerships, you know, and making sure you're doing, because this is, it kind of sucks when you're like in a deal and like there's some money to be made and it's just like, oh man, I thought this was gonna happen, but it didn't, you know. And talk about like what if me and Tyler we're gonna split, we're gonna, you know, go in a deal together, and he wants to keep it as a flip and I don't. What do you guys do in that scenario? Any ideas? So let's just say that me and Tyler went door knocking. He wants, and the deal looks good, and he's like, I want to keep this as a flip, but like I don't want to do another flip. Like this is a full remodel. I don't want to do that. I want to wholesale this. What do you think we should do?
Let Jared decide. Haha.
The chair. I like where you're going with this. No, I was kidding. Well, no, if it's my deal, I like where you're going with this. But if it's your deal, let's like be adults here. But yeah. But what do you guys think? Any ideas?
Apply a wholesale fee.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going. And again, it's whatever you guys agree upon. That's okay, right? So, like, okay, cool. So Tyler, you want to flip this? I don't want to flip it. You know, it's just a headache. I don't want to add to my plate right now. I'm gonna add a reasonable wholesale fee, and whatever my percentage would have been, it'll be like that much. So let's just say if we think we would have got like a $10,000 wholesale fee, and us figuring out what we would have got if you know, what I brought to the table, what Tyler brought to the table, and Tyler found a buyer himself, so he's gonna get an extra percentage because of that. And then okay, cool. So I would have got 35% of the $10,000 wholesale fee because of our split, right? Because you found the buyer, you know, whatever the scenario is. So then just pay me out 3,500 and add that to part of your cost, and then so Tyler can pay me the 3,500. He's got a flip, you know, he basically got a discounted wholesale fee because he effectively paid himself, and then bam, we're good. That's one way of figuring it out, right? There could be, maybe it's like, you know, okay, listen, I don't want to do the flip or whatever. Just give me some equity percentage. I don't want anything to do with it. Give me like 1 or 2% of the profits, and I'm happy. And if Tyler's good with that, like, okay, cool, I'll just put you on the back end if we make any money. But as equity partner, you're also 1% of the profits, 1% of the losses if there are any. So just keep that in mind, because there's no guarantee you're making money in deals. That's why I'm really conservative when I'm doing deals, especially if I'm going to do it. Like the only oops I want is oops I made more money. Those are oops I like. Those are fine.
Hey, Jared, I got a question.
Yeah, what's up, Josh?
Yeah, in the last 2 days, I've gotten 4 mailers at my house trying to buy my house. Could I potentially turn those into buyers?
Yeah. Well, maybe because if they're like a wholesaling company,
No, they're not wholesalers. They're just trying to buy up
they're
homes.
flippers. Oh yeah, 100%. Give them a call and say, hey, listen, I got the postcard that you're looking to buy my house. I'm not looking to sell, but I'm actually a wholesaler. I want to know if you guys want to be put on my wholesale list, and if I can find out a little bit more about what you're interested, I can see if I can find something that's in your buy box. So yeah,
Boom.
give them a call. So shoot me whatever their contact information is. Like I'm interested to sell, but I might have a deal for you.
Perfect. Yeah, I've gotten 4 different ones in the last 2 days.
Yeah, that's a great idea for now you mentioned that. That's a great idea of getting buyers. Because if someone's putting money into their advertising, they're not wholesaling it, like they're looking for flips for themselves, and they're like wholesaling is not their main business. Maybe they'll wholesale deals that just not that they're fit, but they're looking to flip and have rentals or whatever. If they're putting money into marketing, it means that they're doing stuff. They're a buyer that's actually they're not tire kickers. They're actually going to buy the property when they say they're going to buy it. Because when you guys, I do want to mention this side tangent, but on buyers itself, the quantity is not important. It's the quality of your buyers. So like I know people that have tens of thousands of buyers, and they send in a deal to get nothing. My buyers list. You guys want to know how big my buyers list is? Who can guess?
10 people.
10. Well, I have like 10. Like so, like those are my first. That's my first tier list. Mitch and Maley were on that, but then they stopped flipping. So like then they removed themselves. So, but guess what's on my blast out list of buyers? Who can say?
500?
Close. It's 700. That's it.
Wow.
Just 700. And I'll have people, other wholesalers that have 10,000+ buyers on their list contact me to JV because they need help finding a buyer. And so I'll reach out to my 700. Now
That's awesome.
what I do though, on your buyers list, you should always be turning your buyers list. So I will usually, especially if it's like creative financing deal, I'll usually post about it, and then I'll get like 20 new buyers just from that just from posting about it, and people saying I want more information. Cool, awesome. 20 new buyers. I'll add it to my list. And then in my email thing, I can see who's opening emails and who's not. If you're sending out a big buyers list and only 5% is actually opening those emails, where is Google going to start placing your emails when you send out your blast? In what folder? Only like spam.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Exactly, spam. So if someone's not opening my emails at least once every 6 months, they're deleted. Gone.
Copy that. Cool.
Like there's because yeah, but oh man, but I used to have 1,200. Now I have 700 if I do that. Yeah, but that other 500 you just erased or are about to erase, that's actually hurting you. They are not helping you by having 1,200 buyers. Those 700 are because they're consistently opening your emails. They're checking it. They're asking questions. They're buying your deals. Those other 500 aren't doing anything. They're only hurting your numbers. And Google and every other iCloud, whatever the lame one is, it'll show like no one's opening these emails. This is spam. We're not going to send it out to. This is going to go straight to spam.
Copy that. Yeah, these guys they mention fast closing and they're all cash.
Nice. Yeah, and if they are wholesalers, okay, great. Come check out this. Come check out this Renaissance event. If you want to get more buyers, check out this.
Exactly.
Have them send you deals.
Market it both.
I've bought deals from wholesalers. I've bought deals from wholesalers more than a few that I use myself. So yeah, even just because you're wholesaling doesn't mean you can't buy from wholesalers. If it's a good enough deal, like I don't care how much they're making. If numbers make sense to me, like you're making 100,000 on it, awesome, cool.
Awesome. Thank you.
That's a great question though. Like even the deal that I did, so when I did close the flip that I made like 100 grand on, and Linda bought the deal, held it for like 2 weeks, and then sold it to me, and she made 120, and she didn't do anything. Well, she ripped out the carpet and stuff, but she didn't do anything. No fixes, nothing like that. She just sold it to me directly. And she made 100 and 25,000. I made this is insane. She did I just bought it from a wholesaler effectively and made a killing on it. But the thing is, like, which was way more than either her or I were expecting. But that's okay. Like, I don't care how much she's going to make as if the deal makes sense for me. Originally, I thought I was going to make 60. I was like, okay, that's good enough. It's 2 blocks from my house. That's why I wanted to do it. She asked for help finding a buyer. I was like, wait, I'm a buyer. It actually works out for me. I'll do it. You know what I mean? So that was one of the deals of like, no, this one's going to be for Jared. Okay. What other questions do we have about partnerships, about anything like that at all, or door knocking, or does that make sense? You guys feel comfortable if you are going to go door knocking and just have that conversation? And we'll talk about that on Saturday too, just a little bit. If whoever you decide to pair up with, and if because maybe you don't have anyone to pair up with, don't fear, that's fine. Like, I'll pair you up with someone and just have a conversation. Like, how do you want to do it? You know, should we every round robin, every other lead you get it, and whatever happens, happens, and be an adult about it. Or let's partner on it and we can do this, and this. If the person you're going to partner with, you wouldn't trust them babysitting your kids, then you should not be partnering with them. By the way.
Okay, Jared. You already mentioned how to make the arrangements on the agreements actually, and how to put them on paper as far as responsibility goes with the joint venture contract, or doing a LLC both together, or each one on its own LLC.
I'll tell you what I
recommend
do.
doing that?
I'm not saying that you should do this. Okay. So if it's like if I'm going to partner with Anna, for example, and we're just going to do this one deal, then we're like, okay, let's just do a joint venture. But let's just say, like, me and Nate, we get along well. We have a good, his strengths are this, my strengths are that. We kind of like, dude, I want to do not just one. I want to do like 20 deals with you this next year. Okay, then you probably want to actually create an LLC and then and have like ownership of each LLC. But you're creating also like, what am I responsible for in this business? What is Nate responsible for? When, especially for long-term stuff like wholesaling, whether that's good or not, I'm a little bit looser with my partnerships as far as like getting like every single detail worked out. Because if push comes to shove and like, fine, here, take an extra 5, like, I'm not gonna cry. If I would rather pay someone an extra my share of the deal than destroy a relationship. I mean, obviously, I would never work with that person again, but still, you get my point. But it's like, so I'm a little bit looser in that. But if you're gonna do like long term, you need to have everything written down and then at that point it'd be kind of cool to do an LLC. But I would recommend, or how I would do it is like, my LLC is X% ownership of the new LLC we created, and then Nate's LLC is X% ownership of that LLC. So my company owns 50% of Nate and Jared Enterprise, and Nate's LLC owns 50% of Nate and Jared Enterprise. So there's like double layers of protection too. But there needs to be, if it's a longer term. So I did this with my brother. My brother and I, we did silverback leads. We had a lead generation company for a while, and for one thing or another, we dissolved the company. Okay, but in our LLC, because we were like, this is going to be a long term. He's 12 years older than I, and I probably talked to him when we started that partnership. I probably talked to him more in that year than I did the entire 37 years in the past combined. He's not a talker. Anyways, but my point being is like, we had even like my responsibility is this, his responsibility is this. What happens if we get, and this is in the classes, guys, so don't take what I'm saying for gospel truth. Watch the partnership classes. That's going to give you all the details. Okay, so don't get more educated. I'm just giving stuff like what I do, so I'm not telling you guys to do that. That's mostly for protecting my butt. So we put in there like, what happens if I get divorced? What happens if he gets divorced? Because if me and Nate are getting a partnership and I get divorced with my spouse, what happens in that agreement? Because in the court system, they could award my wife the ownership of that business, And now Nate would be a partner of my, in this scenario, ex-wife. What, like, he didn't necessarily want to get in a partnership with my quote unquote ex-wife, right? So it's like, what happens when a divorce? So if someone gets divorced, then ownership gets transferred over to Nate 100%. Like, there's a clause that has happened, and you may think, obviously check lawyers, make sure it's all eased or in there. So it can, like, it goes automatically ownership to Nate, and Nate has to pay out whatever the valuation and whatever you guys agreed upon beforehand of that particular company. And that could be, and he can do it in payments or whatever. So worst case scenario, he has to, like, instead of having a partnership with an ex-wife that he doesn't really know, he may have to making payments, but he's getting 100% of the business. Sense. What happens if I got dismembered or unable to perform any duties? I get in a car accident, I'm a vegetable. Or maybe now my legs don't work, but part of my duties was to walk the properties and talk with the sellers face to face, and now I can't do that. What happens? Who takes on those responsibilities, and does that change the percentage of the ownerships? What if I, for whatever reason, stop doing my duties? How can one partner hold the other accountable? I had that with my brother. I had all that stuff in there. So, and this is, especially important for longer term. Sorry, my wall cubes distracted me. One's like halfway falling off. Anyways, but you guys get what I'm putting down? So if you're doing long term, get with an attorney. It's worth it. Pay him $500, okay? And that's a business expense. Like if we're doing Nate and Jared Enterprise, we're gonna get with an attorney to make sure that the roles are right, and it's like, and we have an agreement. So when you're starting a relationship, starting a partnership, it's easier to decide what happens if conflict arises when you still like each other, versus now I hate Nate, I hate his guts and his face is dumb, and now I got to figure out how we split this business or deal or whatever, and I'm not going to be as nice as if I was like when we're good buddies from the very beginning. And when it comes down to it, if stuff does go haywire, it's like, listen, we're just going to do what we agreed upon. It's right here. This happened, so we're going to do, this is the plan. Like we already talked about it, already documented, you already agreed to it. I know you hate my face, but this is what we're doing. It makes it a lot easier and a lot less costly, like going to court and trying to fight an old partner because the wife got owner of the partnership, something or whatever, or they died. Now what happens? Right. Hey, Jared. Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to shout out something because that question was really good. The one made. So the class, the raising money in partnership, explain everything. For instance, about the operating agreement as well. You put on the operating agreement and you split the percentage of the LLC, right? And as far as I know, well, my company has an operating agreement, but I'm on 100% of ownership. I don't have any partner yet. But in that case, if you have partners, what he explained is you can put that on. Use the attorney, of course, but because it has to be binded, and make sure the 25% it's under your company, and out of the profit from the LLC that you open up with your partner.
Profits and loss.
Yeah.
Don't forget the loss, because that can happen.
The last two, and the responsibilities, right? Like you said, like if you are in charge of, okay, you're not putting money on this company, but you put this, okay, and then you're gonna do this, and that, right?
No, you're spot on, man. Spot on. Any other questions? I know we went into a whole lot of different scenarios, but I hope that helps, because and even people, and I remember season 1. Who's in the 90-day challenge, by the way, or who was in season 1 and 2, right? So Nate, I think Rosalina, Jenny is. So I know there's people that they thought they had to, like, because they for those who don't know, and it's a really, by the way, if you're interested in doing flipping and stuff like that, I think it's a really good way to get the extra stuff. Like, because I'm just teaching, or we're just going over like finding the deal and finding a buyer. if you want to flip it, then I would recommend hit with Mitch and Maley. They're gonna set you up, right? Or watch the classes, whatever you want. If you want help, the challenge is good. I think it's very, very, very good. Anyways, but there's some people, there wasn't communication before, right? And so they kind of thought they had to partner with their group or their team, because they split up in like groups of 4, right? Where it was kind of like accountability partner, but that it's just kind of a, I'm not sure, I don't know. But anyways, long story short, so people thought that they had to like partner with them and do deals together, and they like just 4 random people got kind of stuck together. But then like Maley's like, no, you don't have to partner with anyone like that. So it's good to have those conversations beforehand and what you're expecting and all that stuff. So when it does, there's no misleading. And if you think someone is doing something, again, assume ignorance over malice until you confirmation of the malice. That makes sense? It's better to assume that they just don't know that they're being a jerk, or that they're trying to get, or they're being greedy in your thoughts, versus, or maybe think like, yeah, I think I did a lot. I did this, and like maybe you guys just need to sit down and write it down. And like, and if you are having the conversation, and it's like, if you put it on, I don't want there to be any type of feelings like I'm not putting in my weight. So I want to make sure that if you would help me, again, help me. I want to make sure that I don't mess up anything that you're doing, or you're not feeling bad. You get it's a whole different angle versus like, hey, I think I should deserve more. We need to sit down and have a conversation. If I say that to Nate, or but like what Nate had the conversation with me, I probably should look it up because he handled it very well. Like, hey, I had a couple questions about how we're going to split this or whatever. Like, oh, great, awesome. And it's like, so how do you normally do this? And so he was just asking questions. He did a phenomenal job. It's like, oh, and if someone brought the lead themselves, then what that looks like, oh, yeah, it'd be this. And so like, oh, okay, yeah. When he's like, oh, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Definitely, let's just change it. Done. Right? Because he handled it well. If he was a big jerk, I hate you, Jared, stupid bald face. We should deserve more money. I mean, then it would be, I would listen to him, but I'd be like, call me bald face, whatever, right? I'm not gonna be as I'm human, I'm not gonna be as open to hearing him as if he didn't do the way he did, right? And usually it's even some calls me names. I'm usually pretty chill still, regardless. But still, you get my point, right? People are still gonna be people. Okay. Any other questions before we wrap it up? We're at 12.
Jerry, one quick question about door knocking.
Yes.
Is there gonna be another round? Because unfortunately I'm gonna miss this one, bro. Like I really wanna attend it, but it's gonna be like another round, or
I'm gonna kick you out of the challenge of the games as we're doing.
Damn.
No, we'll do another round.
That will be good.
So we're gonna do it at the beginning of January, I think. We'll do another round. And
awesome.
The thing is, if and I'm open to, if there's enough like positive feedback, like, hey, I want to do this again. This is great. I want more practice with the group. I'm not opposed to doing it more than just once a month or whatever. Like if the push is strong enough and there's enough people that are in it, like every Saturday, done. Let's do it. Let's go knock some doors. Let's close some deals.
It's actually good.
Yeah.
That will put us on more action than Saturdays, and
totally. Oh,
I'm down for another round.
Yeah, totally. So let's
Jared,
yes.
I had a question, but I will leave it for tomorrow because it will take some time.
Okay.
But basically, is I talked to my broker about wholesaling, and they told me that I'm not allowed to wholesale. And I was like, okay, so I want you to help me out with that. That is the idea. And we can talk about that tomorrow because I know it would take longer.
There's some solutions to that, but yeah, it's tricky when the broker, it's tough when the broker doesn't want you to do it. It really is.
Yeah. And then remind me tomorrow to talk about a deal. We just got a deal subject to, and they were from another wholesale, and we bring more investors to the site. So talking about wholesale to wholesale, I can explain that what happened tomorrow.
Great.
That is something that I want to talk about it.
Are you planning to buy it, or are you planning to you're looking for another buyer, help them find a buyer?
We already buy. We got the house.
Oh, you already bought. Oh, sweet.
Yeah. It was awesome. Like 3 days ago. We got the house subject to. Yeah,
awesome.
so it's been good. But I just want to kind of share that with class. But also, if you guys can help me out, how I can go and cross that line between the real estate and the wholesaling.
Yeah, we'll remind me tomorrow too, and we'll talk about it. Another thing, by the way, Angie just got a deal under contract. Officially, like the papers were signed. She's not on here. Dang it. So yeah, we got a lot of people that are taking action. They're landing deals, guys. It's awesome. The deals are out there. And I'm proud of a lot of you guys making a ton of action. Marjorie, we had a really good call with she's hitting I'm bring with that for sell by owners, and we did a joint call, and one, like, it's a probate case, and so we're meeting with the entire, hopefully if everything goes well, meeting with all the heirs together and trying to have a conversation explaining creative financing, the benefit. It was cool. We started the conversation as like, we don't want to do creative financing. We had an offer about it and we were just too nervous. Then I explained some things about it and they're like, oh, okay, yeah, that seems kind of good. Like, yeah, it does. It's crazy. Awesome, guys. Cool. I'm excited. We're getting some movement. So this is phenomenal. Great job, everyone. Keep it up. And tomorrow we're going to finalize all the details. You know, we know where we're going to be meeting, but we'll just kind of go over everything, answer any final questions for the Saturday door knocking event, and let's do this. Okay, I'm excited. Cool. That's it. All right, guys. I love y'all. Out.